Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grrr, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof. Yeah. Now listen, to all my YouTubers out there, if you like what you hear, and I know you do, if you like what you see, I just doubly know you do. Well, what you do is click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. Just click it, click it. I love to click it. Hi, I've got this audacious, inspiring, and entertaining episode of Wyatt for y'all today. Special guest, Mr. Fernando Velez. He's the creator, the founder, the CEO of Kraven Comics. And as you'll soon discover, Mr. Velez is making an indelible mark, y'all, on the LGBTQ plus community with his bold and intrepid series of comic books. Yeah, and they're truly motivational. Not to mention, they're all so entertaining, y'all. So, Mr. Velez will be pulling up to the mic like right now. Yes, hey, without further ado, Wyatt presents Mr. Fernando Velez. Talk at me. How the hell are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Well, listen, my friend, it's so good to have you on here. So I'm going to jump right in. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read a quote from you, and I'm going to do it on my cheat cards. It's always good to have cheat cards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. You've stated the following, and I quote, Craven Comics aim to provide the LGBTQ plus community the rightly deserved representation in the comic book industry. We at Craven Comics focus on inclusivity and awareness of social justice issues. And we at Craven believe that anyone can be a hero, end quote. So let's unpack that. That's profound.
Yeah, I totally believe, especially now in these times where our community is being more aware of, for so long we didn't recognize other parts of our community. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's my duty through the comic book to make visible everybody that is part of our community, including non-binary, transgender. I feel like everything was for so long about the gay men that we forgot about the rest of the community. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's very important to give a safe space for them to celebrate them as the heroes they are.
That's great. I totally agree with you, Fernando. So let's drill down a little bit deeper. Why is it so important, so critical to have representation of the LGBTQ plus community in comic book form?
You see, when I was growing up, I was struggling to finding my identity or where I belong in this community.
Right.
And when I used to read comic books, none of them resonate to me. I felt invisible. I felt like they were all had good messages, but it came from a white, powerful man. And me, as a Latino gay guy, I felt very insecure. I felt like I wasn't powerful enough. So since little, I used to listen to music and just change that reality. And in my mind, I would think about ideas of how a gay Latino could be a superhero and how we matter and how the world needed us. So growing up, when I had the magazine, one of my writers did an article about the misrepresentation in the comic book industry. So I thought about it was time for me to all these ideas that I had when I was little to bring them to action, to create stories that would represent me and many more that felt so invisible for so long. And for me, it's very important because I tried to commit suicide like 3 times. And honestly, the entertainment industry, TVs, movies, comic book, they send messages that can change and impact our life. So I want to make sure that I send a message that anybody can be a hero.
That's absolutely awesome. We're going to talk about your childhood and the struggles and challenges that you faced. Let me ask you this, Fernando. Your characters are fierce. They are unapologetically LGBTQ. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so my idea of representing characters is to actually showcase what we have been through in our community and many of our struggles. Even within our own community, we still have some stigma and rejection that we have. So, for example, one of our heroes, Aaron, he struggled with meth addiction. And for me, it's very important to make sure that people who are going through these kind of situations, they know that I see them and I hear them. And it's very important for me to send them a message that, hey, no matter where you're going, you can still be a hero. So I like to really showcase what makes us strong, what makes us the struggles that we've been through, that it doesn't dictate the way our life are going to be, but how do I say it? It's just, I just want everybody to feel visible and to showcase what we've been through. You know, from the lesbian character, she was raped by her father, because in some countries in Africa, they believe in corrective rape. Or the transgender character that trying to commit suicide because she was thrown on the street by the biological parents for being transgender. I feel like all of these situations, sometimes we look at them like, yeah, they're terrible, but they can make us strong. The way, if we look at it in a different way, we take the best out of it to become stronger and better and to become a hero. And that's why it's so important for me to showcase characters that have been through hell and difficult stuff, and yet they rise to become a superhero.
You know, what sets Craven Comics apart from the rest is that it's real. We're dealing with realism, slices of realism, and that is just so needed. And also, too, they're three-dimensional. You've really fleshed these characters out. They really speak to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thumbs up.
Thanks. It's so exciting. Like, developing the character has been an amazing journey where I have to understand different perspective of people in our community, and the way it changed me, the way I look at them. I hope that people who read the story, it actually impact the way they look at the rest of the people in our community. So it's very important for me.
Got it. Okay, my friend, are you ready to travel through the corridors of time so our audience can learn all about you?
Let's do it.
All
Let me
right.
put my seatbelt on. Just kidding.
Okay, so where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Yauco, a small town in the south of Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. Okay, you brothers, sisters.
I have one older brother. He died of cancer when I was 5 years, and he was 6 years old.
Okay.
After that, my dad got into alcohol. He became an alcoholic because they were under 20s, and losing a kid is nothing easy. And which is what made my mom don't accept me right away when I came out, because she recently lost my brother of cancer. So when I came out, she thought she was gonna lose me of AIDS, because back then there was the AIDS pandemic. My mom had a friend who died of AIDS. So when I came out, the first thing she thought was, I'm gonna lose you, and she needed to change me so she don't lose me to AIDS, which was all part of, back then, the ignorance and not knowing and the stigmas. And that's why I feel like I had a difficult coming out experience. I came out like twice. I would get out of the closet and then like, oh no, run back in. But you know what? Through all of these struggles, I always trying to understand my parents. I feel like when we come out of the closet, we often attack and be like, oh my God, they don't like me, they don't love me. But we want to be understood. We also have to try to understand where they come from. Only like that, we can create a bridge of understanding and coming together. And now my mom and my dad are my best friends. They support me, they love my partner, and it's amazing. But it was very hard to grow up in such a religious, traditional Puerto Rican family.
Yeah, I've heard that. Before we get into the struggles that you had, and I mean, you went through some struggles that would have crushed a weaker individual. But before we do that, I always like to ask my special guest this question, and I get a laugh. And here it is, my friend. What was Fernando like as a little boy, a little nipper? Give me like 3 qualities or characteristics that best describe you.
Well, I was a dreamer since little kid. I asked my mom once for a credit card to buy a $300,000 Hollywood used camera equipment because I was going to make a movie.
Wait a minute, hold it. Let me stop you right there. Not 300, but $300,000?
Yes.
You think really up there, my friend. Okay, please continue. This is cool.
I was always such a dream. My mom was like, life is not like as colorful as you think. And I'm like, oh, well, I just need 300,000, mom. So I was always a dream. I would always carry a notebook where I will write all my ideas. Like, if I, like, for example, when the Twin Towers happened and we went into war, that inspired me to write about a story about, how can we deal better with humanity and come together. So I always thought about my stories in a way of like, how can my story empower the world for us to come together? I believe that entertainment industry, it always brings people together. We're in a movie theater, we're from different cultures, different races, we all cry together, we all laugh together. So it's since little I was just so into the entertainment because I knew the impact that has. And I think that's thanks to my parents because when my older brother died of cancer, we have a tradition inside the Christmas day here, but we call it the Three King Days in Puerto Rico. So my brother spent the last Three King Days, which is a holiday, in the hospital before he died of cancer. And somebody brought a little toy and he was very happy. So after my mom saw that, every year for like 10 years, I would dress up as a clown and I would ask the kids like, oh my God, what did you ask to the Three Kings? And they would tell me what toy they asked for, and they were hospitals of low income, so the parents didn't have the money to buy the toys. So I would go back, run down, and my mom have like 3-4 trucks full of toys with a lot of people, and we will always find what they asked for. And then my dad with 2 other friends that have kids that die of cancer, they will dress up like a Three Kings and give toys. And one time, the mom comes down crying, saying thank you because my kid died playing with your toys. And I get chills because, you see, I grew up knowing that we have the power to impact people. That no matter how poor we are, no matter how we're doing with our own struggles, we have the power to impact people's life, even to the very last minute. And that stood with me, and I think that's why I always like entertainment, because I always wanted to continue to impact life through it. So yeah, that's one of my most quality, that I was just always like doing art and events and writing, and I was a very flamboyant kid who couldn't hide being gay and was proud of it. It was hard to become, to be myself, but I always told my mom, I'd rather have you hate me for who I am than love me for something I'm not.
That is so profound, Fernando. You made it through the storm because you were saying that in your childhood, you faced some really serious, daunting obstacles and challenges, which included the suicide attempts, which all of that, correct me if I'm wrong, compelled you to do what you're doing today. So can you tell us a little bit about your childhood, those situations?
Yeah, so when my dad was drinking too much, my mom was working all day, I felt very alone. At school, it was hard to be gay because we always mock up, the bully for being LGBT. And my family was very religious. I remember saying that, I took a lot of pictures from girls once on a trip, and my auntie say, oh, I'd rather have you take picture of girls than boys because I don't want no feathers in the family. And, for a little kid who is like trying to find your spot in the world, it kind of like, it really pushed you down to like, don't come out, and so I tried to commit suicide. I spent like a week in the psychiatric hospital, which I always say I made the best out of everything, so I left with friends. Not the best place to make friends though, but I made really good friends. And then they took me to a religious camp to try to change me. But of course, come on, you take me to a camp with a lot of gay people, so I have to share the room with a gay guy. You know, like I don't want to get into details, but come on, But yeah,
they needed to rethink that.
yeah, they were like, you have to have individual rooms. I get the budget, but you have to have individual rooms, and you really want to change it. But you know, and that was a horrible experience. And I think after that, I really became very hateful against religion because I saw that the religion was hurting more people and dividing us more than what it was supposed to bring us together. And after that, I went, obviously they tried to put me into church, and the priest told me that we by nature don't match. I don't want to be graphic right now, but by nature, woman and men match. And I told him, you turn around the men and we match. And after that, I was kicked out of the church.
Oh.
So,
okay.
So it was, you know, I felt like, you know, I was very involved with church, and church was rejecting me, family was rejecting me. And I just felt so lost. I felt like, you know, I read comic books, and, you know, we weren't even in comics. We were not even mentioned, you know, TV shows, movies, nothing. It's like we didn't exist. Society didn't want us to exist.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, so society doesn't want me to exist. I'm just gonna kill myself. And I tried 3 times, and at the 3rd time, I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I keep doing this? And I remember I did a research about LGBTQ people that had committed suicide and how the parents felt awful afterwards. And the theory that, you know, it's natural and blah, blah, blah. So I prepared like 100 pages folder to my mom, and I gave it to her. It's like, this is your choice. Either you accept me and love me for who I am, or I'm gonna take off and you will never see me again. And after that, she never rejected me. She never mentioned it. But it was the day that I finally stand for myself. And I feel like after that, I was born. I was like, this is my life. I'm like, I'm gonna make what I want of it. I'm free. I felt free after that moment. And I hope that a lot of people, you know, that are going through those struggles, like, they can realize that we're free to be who we want to be. Nobody can tell us the way we have to live.
Fernando, your story is so powerful, and it can educate and inspire other people. You stood in your own, you just took a stand, you stood in your own truth, and it just freed you.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. I mean, because we only have one life to live, and we've got to live it to the fullest, and we need to be our authentic self. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's fast forward to adulthood. You left Puerto Rico to come to the mainland. Why did you do that?
So I left because I was doing a lot of plays, and I did radio, TV show, movie. Right. And at an early age, I always said, you know, I always got around to like find my opportunities. Like, for example, once they were looking for extras. I was an extra, but I found them like 300 extras for the movie, so they put me on production. And I always like, I always find my opportunity. So I said, I already done everything in Puerto Rico. This island is super small for me. And I still, even though my friends all accept me and my family, they don't talk about it, I feel like I needed to find my own family and my own life outside Puerto Rico. And that's when I decided I falsified my mom's signature to give myself permission to move to Florida to a Disney college program. And then while there, I found another job, and I was able to move out, and I struggled a lot. I wanted to go back to school, but it was very difficult. You know, I was like 18, supporting myself, and in a whole new city, so different from my small town. I had many jobs. I had a partner, my first boyfriend in the US, that he was so jealous that he he beat me so hard. He ended up in jail, and there was again. I felt like, oh my God, I'm alone here, and my family doesn't know. My friends in Puerto Rico don't know what happened. But that's when I found my gay family. When all my friends gathered together and they came to support me in the U.S., the friends that I made there, and it really struck me that I wasn't that alone after all. That the people who loved me were all around me. Just needed that bad situation for me to recognize that they are there for me. And I feel like after that, I was a little afraid of life or where I would go. But after I saw that no matter what you go through, you always have friends to back you up. If you ever fall, they will lift you. If you ever need a shoulder to cry, they will be there. So I wasn't scared anymore. I said, mm now I'm more confident to go after my dreams, to go after who I am, because I know I have my gay family with me. And eventually my family came around and, the relationship got better. But yeah, I move around a lot in the US. It was very difficult, especially like my accent. I would get fired from jobs because of my accent, and I was always made me so insecure. Like, but now today I feel like everything that I went through, it was worth it. It what made me who I am right now. I mean, I could have been destroyed, commit suicide, and died, but no, I always take from every bad situation. You just take all of that and take the best out of it and become better. You can only become better.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I really respect you. I've been following you for quite a while, and you have truly built such a diverse company. You're doing great things.
Thank you.
Before we really dig into that, oh, sure, my pleasure. Before we really dig into that, I want to quickly mention the whole intimate partner violence and abuse situation that you were in. I've gone through it too. And, as a journalist, I write a lot about it. I'm a subject matter expert in intimate partner violence and abuse. My series of novels, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart, the main theme is intimate partner violence and abuse. And what I found through interviewing individuals, gay men, SGL, same gender loving men, there are more of us that have experienced it than people really believe. It's more prevalent than people believe. It's just,
Do you think it's because
please.
of the masculinity? We don't talk about it. Like if a woman get domestic violence, like I was afraid of going to the groups because I felt like I was gonna be the only guy, and that people would look even more down on me. And it was hard to talk about it because of the same. Because oh, you're a man, you can handle it. It's like no, not only the it's not only the physical pain, but also the emotional pain is even more than the physical. The physical heals over a couple of weeks. The emotional pain stays for long. That emotion,
Oh,
somebody will say, "Love you, I want to protect you," will almost like destroy you. I remember he destroyed the whole apartment, computer, throw me everything. Like, when I called the police and the police was here, and I mean, that was back in Orlando. I just remember I felt so lost. I was like, what, 20, 21, something like that. And I was like,
right.
what is this? Like, and I just hope that people can talk about it because we often let it happen. And I don't think no one should raise your hand or trust you that way. No one ever. And you should never forgive that.
Oh, wow. Let me just say this. I need to take you with me when I do workshops. I really, really do, because Fernando, what you said is so on point because it happened to me when I was in my early 20s, when I was in college. And the reason why so many gay, same gender loving men don't want to talk about it is because of the stigma. It's because we feel that we're less than a man because no man wants it known that another man is kicking his ass. It's just, you're so correct. It's just that whole masculinity is the stigma attached.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
We're scared
yeah.
of being vulnerable, but we are.
But see, the great thing is that both of us made our great escape.
Yes.
And look at you now, Mr. Entrepreneur. So what I want to talk about now is, I believe in 2016, you started Craven
Yes.
Comics. Question for you. Would you please tell us two things right now? Why the name Craven? I like it. And what compels you to do this?
So the name came because when I was little, I wrote a script. It was called the Hellish Book, and the main character, I want to call it like the bird, Raven, but my English back then was way more limited than right now. So I called it Craven, thinking there was a bird, and years later I figured out that wasn't the bird, but I always use that name for everything to remind myself where I came from. So I'll never forget that little boy who was dreamy and wanted to conquer the world, to stay true to myself. So everything has been Craven. Craven Comics, Craven Magazine, Craven Studio one day. Everything will be Craven. So just to remind people that you should never forget where you came from, because that's, when you're little, that's who you truly are. What you wish to be before society change your mind or influence you, that's your authentic you. So I was trying to remember that little kid. Now I'm still that little kid because I don't have my notebook writing all my stories, but I do it now in Google Drive. I have like my folders and more than 100 stories to write and all the crazy ideas that I ever had. So that's little kid still inside me. And creating the comic book, I had the magazine, and one of my writers did the article about the misrepresentation. And I was in the Castro, I believe I was working out, and the Castro is so diverse. You have drag queens, you have everybody, and they all go to the gym because it's like a bar. So I was like, our community is full of heroes. Like, why there isn't heroes that represent us when we have so much stories to tell, when we can impact so much more life than straight superheroes? So I decided that have to come from our community and not some big companies going to, after our money. So I decided I'm going to open Craven Comics. I don't know anything about making comics. My team that I found in Venezuela, they don't know anything about comics neither, but we're all going to learn together, and we're going to push each other, and we're going to make something so beautiful and powerful for our community that there's not going to be anything like that. And it took us a lot of years. The first 3 years, we were like, no, this is not quite there yet. Let's try it again. And it was time consuming. Me and my partner, we invested basically everything we ever had on it. We gave away our place. We were traveling for years, staying from friends to family to save up. So it was a big sacrifice, but it was worth it, because now when I got a prize and there's people crying with the stories, when they say thank you for making me visible, transgender, when they say I never thought I would see myself in a comic book, like, that is the most rewarding experience ever. Like, I just love, that's what I love in personal events, because I get to see the reaction of people. And when I feel tired and I feel like giving up sometimes, because it's not easy,
No,
I just remember them. And I said, no, I'm not gonna give up. And something that someone say is like, the character never give up on themselves. So this person that was reading the book, he said, I will never give up on myself neither. So you see, nobody's giving up.
you are absolutely right. I mean, I have a vision, and we are just compelled to make that vision a reality. And as my mother used to say, my mother would say stuff like, nothing good comes easy, nothing worthwhile comes easy. So my audience, if you have a book, people say, I have a book in me, how do I start? I say put pen to paper. And it's sacrifice in time, resources. You might not be able to look at the football game when you want to. You just have to do it, whatever it takes, because it's so worth it. And let me say that your characters, the artwork just draws you in. It's vivid, it's luscious, it's 3D. I go, wow. Is Class 6 the flagship? Is that your flagship series?
Yes, that's the main. So, Craven Comics is a huge universe of about, wow, more
Ah,
than 20 different series, but it all start with classics and then divides through 20 titles and it ends again with classics. Which I've been working with producers now to pitch to the networks for live action and also anime. So it's been an amazing journey to explain to the producers. They're like, oh my God, one of them said that he was listening to a pitch and he said like, wow, like what we have is nothing compared what he's been listening to. The way the stories, the
great.
character, everything is just amazing. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I cannot talk too much about that, until things happen. But I look
Right,
forward
right.
to take it to the next level.
Wow, that's going to happen. Wow, that's awesome. Can you tell us a few of the? Can you tell us a few? Can you tell us about a few of the characters in your universe? Who they are, their motivation, a little bit about their backstory.
Yeah. So we have Nevia, our transgender superhero. She's from Eastern Europe, where they can be a lot conservative and homophobic. So when growing up, she was thrown on the street by the biological parents for being transgender. She grew up in the streets, being attacked often, and she trying to commit suicide when a doctor driving by rescued her. And this doctor was doing stem cell research, so it gave her the ability to transform her body without a lot of surgical procedures, so it can look like a woman. But things happen that you have to read the story. But anyway, let's move to the other one. Otherwise, I would tell you too much. And then we have Nami, our twin hero from Hong Kong. With him, I represent the greedy of money and power because when he was a little kid, he was born with a deadly disease, and his dad used to work for a tech company, and he developed a nanotechnology that will eradicate the disease. But it gave him the ability to control devices like computers, etc. So his father used that to steal information from governments and corporations and sell it. One day he was gonna escape with his boyfriend, and his father, he couldn't risk to lose his empire, so he sent their whole entire village on fire to kill his boyfriend. So we
Wow.
see what people with money are willing to do not to lose that power. We have the lesbian character, which is one of my favorites because a lot of people don't know this, but in Africa, some places in Africa, they believe in corrective rape, where your father will rape you to cure
Right.
you from homosexuality. Often they get AIDS or get pregnant. So our lesbian character got pregnant, and her mother killed the father, and they ran to the Republic of Congo, where back then, surprisingly, they were accepted of LGBTQ people. Not quite legal, but they were haunted like Uganda, where people were persecuted and killed for being LGBTQ. That's awful.
Right.
Which that's happens in one of the episodes. We highlight that issue. Then we have the drag queen character, which she represents God. She was created by our human ancestors to safeguard humanity. So she's like the main character. Everything is around her. And
Okay.
she inspired me. I mean, I was inspired to create her. Do you know Sisters of Perpetuals of Indulgence? They are like a group of drag queens that dress like nuns, and they are in more than 40 countries, and they do fundraiser, they advocate. I mean, they're like superheroes. So I know Sister Roma from San Francisco, and she inspired me to create this character based on a true hero. Which one am I missing? We have Kian, the bear bisexual character, and he was created by our human ancestor to safeguard the information and technology of our ancient humans. So within his DNA is encoded the most advanced technology ever existed. And then where am I missing anyone? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Aaron, yeah, which I talked about him earlier. He's from Venezuela. His father was addicted to drugs, and when the cartel came to clear the debt, he didn't have money, so he gave his son to the cartel to pay off his debt. Being raised by the cartel was very difficult, and when he finally escaped, he struggled with drugs because of the trauma that he went through. So this character is very important for me because he had these special abilities that yet he's still, you know, I feel like it's a very complex topic, the drug abuse. But with him, we show that what people actually feel when they go through. You know, I myself, I want to be honest, I experienced, you know, in the past with drug abuse, and that wasn't easy. And through this character, I want to show how I felt. And another side, you know, people often look at people who are doing drugs like, oh my God, these people are crazy, these people are lost. No, these people are sick and they need help. And the more you attack them, the more you stigmatize them, the worse it gets for them. So with this character, I want to create awareness about that.
Fernando, do you write? Are you the principal writer? Do you do most of the writing?
Yeah, I actually do all the writing. I have Arturo, who is my co-writer. Once I write everything, I send it to him to make it sound more beautiful. You know, I feel like my English is very limited still. So I like to give it to someone else to, you know, for people to give their own touches and when it comes to wording, so it doesn't sound like it was written by the same person. That can happen to me sometimes. And then I have an editor that will check the last part. But yeah, I write everything, I structure, I cover my four walls of the room with papers, with every episode, every point, to make sure that every point follows to the next one and everything develops and is clear, and all the twists, because if there's something we have, it's a lot of twists. You're gonna be like, oh my God, like, how do you thought about that?
Well, I mean, the stories are so elaborate. It's like Mission Impossible, you know, the old Mission Impossible show with the twists and turns and all of that. I believe we have another character. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly, but I'm going to give it a shot. Laos, correct?
Oh, the Loas, this one.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Okay, this is like my latest favorite title because I feel like classics, I wrote it when I was 22, 23. So my mind was very different, and with all the experience that I had, Loas is amazing. So Loas is actually the backstory of our lesbian character, Yaseri.
Oh.
And it takes place in the 1600 when the slave trade was at its peak. And it's about this powerful race that people think just like another tribe that they want, you know, that the English colony wants to conquer, without knowing that they're actually descendant from our human ancestors, and they possess a different DNA structure than ours, so they're more powerful than the white colonies that are trying to conquer them. So this title is very, very historical and very powerful because it's about this tribe of this society, actually, I would say, of black women that they call themselves the Loas, who will fight against the English not to be enslaved. And it's just so powerful. Like I just released literally the second episode where I show, like, you know, the fights and how they defend themselves. And I don't know, for me, I'm from Puerto Rico, so it's basically like celebrating my ancestors, because we're a mix of indigenous and Africans that came as a slave, and I saw Spanish people, but I'm not a fan of them. But yeah, so for me, it's very important to highlight what our people went through. You know, when colonies were trying to conquer everybody with taking away their right, their freedom, their land. So it's very important for me to remind society what hate looks like, so we don't commit the same. Because I feel like we still have slavery today. Like even Puerto Rico, we're still slave. We're a colony of the United States. They take all the money and we don't see anything back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me use my cheat card here. As a content creator myself, I like to always ask this question. What aspect of the creative process is most satisfying and then most challenging for you?
I will say structuring the whole universe has been the most challenge, because connecting 100 characters, 20 different series, and to make sure that all of my readers can relate to a character, so it doesn't become too, like today we see movies and it's all too much special effects and all of these, and sometimes it lacked the character. You don't connect to the character because all you see is just fights and special effects. So for me, the most challenging part is to make sure that the characters are relatable, that when you read them you can connect to it, and the most exciting thing is, like, honestly, when people read it, like that's the last part of the creative process, I said, because when I get this beautiful feedback, that just motivates me to, like, create more and write more. So that's part of my creative process, because that's where I draw my inspiration from. When people get excited and they get on, like, oh my god, like, well, I love structuring the whole. I think about it all the time. I'm taking a shower, I'm working out, I'm eating. I drive my boyfriend crazy because I'm talking to him like, oh my god, I had this idea and I want to connect this with this, and there's so many details that I can drive anybody crazy. But one day when this comes to TV and anime or live action, people are gonna be amazed by how well this is structured and all the details there is. Like, Marvel and DC, they didn't create a universe. They have many creators creating characters that later they figured out how to connect them. I mean, I thought about the universe from scratch, from like the beginning to the end, how everything is going to connect, done by one person only. So that's been the most amazing experience in my whole life, was to create this universe. I use all my experience and the inspiration that I get up from people around me.
Fernando, it's so good talking to you, because I feel the same way, particularly with the audience feedback, because I'm writing my new novel that'll be available in a few months. And I'm saying to myself, will these people like it? Because you want them to like it. This novel is going to be a little different from the other one. So I'm saying, will they relate to that? And I am so detailed, because when I write, I want you to know what the person is wearing, how he smells, what he's thinking. And it takes so much detail to do that, and so much thought. And the ideas will pop in your head at sometimes the least opportune times. You could be on a date, you could be with your boyfriend, you could be having sex with somebody, and all of a sudden, pop, you've got this thought in your head, and you're saying, right, and you're saying to yourself, you can't really stop right now, so you've got to be able to compartmentalize it and put it somewhere back in your head. So I totally get it.
I admire you so much. Like, I would love to one day be able, like, to write how you do. Like, it's so difficult to write books. Like, comics, I feel like it's not easy, but it's easier than books, because it's mostly drawings.
Yeah.
But like to actually put everything in a book, like the way, like everything, all those details that go into it. I mean, I would love to do that one day, but I admire you. I mean, that's something very, very difficult. And people don't often recognize. I feel like it takes a writer and a creator to recognize the hard work. People, oh yeah, I love this book, but they don't know the intense years and months of work and detail that takes. So I admire you a lot for that. Like, I can wait for your book, for us to help you out and promote it and celebrate you.
Listen, Fernando, first of all, thank you for being so gracious. I really appreciate that. And, when I look at your work and how detailed it is and how you're such a great storyteller, I can relate to that, because I try to do that. Because I'll say this and end this point of the conversation, because I could go on and on and on. I try to make the reader, be like a fly on the wall, seeing the goings on and the action. And that's what you do with your comics. So,
Thank you.
Thumbs up. Now, I don't want you to break your hand patting yourself on the back. I don't want you to do that. But we got to talk about your new magazine, Craven. First, before you say anything, This is just like it's more than eye candy. It's like gourmet food for the eyes, and the audience is seeing this right now, seeing the cover right now. The cover is just so stunning, but even more importantly, the content is so well written and so absorbing. It's just really great. So tell us about Craven Magazine.
Thank you. Well, Craven Magazine has a long history because that was my first project.
Really?
When I was 22 years old, I started it. If I'm correct, yeah, 22. I was working as a server in Miami, and on the lunch break, I will cover the lunch break of the gift shop person. So I will read Oprah's magazine, and I just found Oprah's magazine to be amazing. Like, even as a man, I can relate to articles, and I thought, why our community doesn't have anything like this? Why everything we have is all about sex and parties and DJs and this and that, and like, where is the magazine that can empower me and make me a better part of my community?
Exactly.
So that's when I decided I want to start Craven Magazine. And I was working as a server. I will hide from my manager. My manager will come be like, oh, come on, go back to the floor. You're not opening a magazine. I'm like, you can barely afford anything. I'm like, well, that's true. But no, I went door by door with a piece of paper selling my idea.
Wow.
And 3 months later, I launched my first magazine in Miami. And I did it for a year in Miami. Then I moved to San Francisco, where I brought the magazine. And I remember it was very hard because such an expensive city and
Yeah, it is.
so big, not like Miami. And I went again. I went door by door. I would walk every day and imagine people reading the magazine. I always envision everything in my mind because the law of attraction, people don't believe in that, but that is so true. You have to think and believe it. If you don't believe it's not gonna happen. A couple months later, I would walk around and I saw people reading my magazine. So that was an amazing experience. But when I decided to open the comic book was gonna take so much from me to get it off the ground. So I decided that it was very important for me to focus in the comic book because it was very needed. And then I said, when the time is right, I will bring back Craven Magazine. So after 8 years, I contact my original team and I offered them to be part owners this time. Now we brought Craven Magazine back. It's Brennan, Charlie. It was a challenge because we were like, oh my God, we're going to bring it back. And I wanted to do it like in 2 months. So that was like very rushing.
Yeah.
But we did it. And I love the new concept because back then I was having writers, original writers, like writing stuff that I would pick up a theme and I would tell them what to write. But this time I wanted to make it different based on my own experience. You see, when I was reaching out to LGBTQ publications to talk about the comic book, they often come back asking me from $700 to $5,000. But then when Marvel did a character turn gay, they will talk about it for free. And I'm like, you talk about a company for free that they have the money to pay you, and second of all, they didn't even care about us for so long. And now you talk about it for free, but your own company, your own community, you ask them for money, and then you say that we finally have representation. No, we had representation before, they just didn't want to talk about it. So it really upset me to the point that I'm like, now more than ever, I need to bring the magazine no later, no next year, but now. Because I want to be able to give chances to many people like us that have great ideas, great business, but they lack on the support of our community. So I want Craven Magazine to be that resource for our community where people can apply for articles and we publish them and we're going to promote it. We're going to make sure everybody read it and for free and including ads. I'm not going to charge LGBTQ business for ads. I'm going to charge corporations one day, when big companies, they want to target us, then we take all their money. But for our community, I won't take money from our community because what I want is for all of us to be able to be successful. I measure success not by how much money I can make, but by how many lives I can impact. That's how I measure success.
Well, I'm speechless, and I'm normally not speechless. I totally agree with what you're saying, and wow. I know what I wanted to ask. Is will Craven be like monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly? How
So
often?
right now it's gonna be quarterly right now.
Okay.
Sorry, my accent. Yeah, so we're gonna launch every 3 months. It's gonna be free digitally. You can download the file, you can read it online, and then we're gonna have a print edition that's gonna be for sale that will allow us to continue to expand and get more readership. We want to put in like all gay hotels, LGBT centers all over.
Right.
We just want to become that voice of our community. Imagine like so when the pandemic started, we were struggling a lot with the comic book, and we were able to make it because two publications, Pitch Atlanta and South Florida Gay News, they wrote an article about us for free. And back then, basically that was a turning point. We didn't have no money. We were about to lose everything, and those two feature articles changed the game. We were able to print this amazing book, the mid-season, thanks to those two publications that talk about us. So in my own experience, I know the impact that these articles have and these free ads and everything. So I want to make sure that a lot of people, especially after the pandemic, they have an outlet, they have a resource, they have at least one shot to make it, because it can make a big difference.
Fernando, what last words do you have for people who feel that they're down and out, that they can't achieve, that they just want to give up? What do you say to those people?
First, the world is huge and it's full of resources. You just gotta find it. You cannot give up. Some people may tell you try something else. If you do this, you will be making more money. If you do that, no, just follow your heart and what you want to do. Okay, don't never give up. The harder it becomes, the closest you are to make it. Nothing comes easy in life, like you said, like your mom said. I always say when things are about to I'm about to break down, it's like, I know that this is just a test, because soon the good things are happening. So don't ever give up. Just keep going every day. We only have one life. If you sit around, cry, and give up, you're not living. You gotta live. You gotta try it. You gotta go. And it took me years, more than 10 years, but it happens if you don't give up, if you can just keep doing it. Dedication and passion can take you far.
Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody, you better listen to this. Now, Fernando, what do you have going on for the rest of the year, like appearances, projects? What do you have going on?
I have this. This is a kid's book.
Get out! Really?
Yes. I'm so excited because first I want Craven Comics to become a label, to include other artists to promote their work, because I know a lot of people, being creative and do the administration work, it can be very challenging, and you don't have to be good at both. But if I can create a platform where you can just create and I got your back on the other, so I can help you, continue to create and for more people to be successful. Like right now, publishing companies, they give you like 15% to the creator. I'm offering people half and half. We go in, I want you to succeed. I want you to learn. I will invest in you.
And sometimes it's as low as 8%.
Wow.
But you're correct. The range is actually 8 to 15%.
That's wrong.
I know. Would you mind showing us the front and the back of this, please? Oh, okay.
And this is made by hand, actually. This is not like digitally. So this book is very special for me because of one of our readers, Sergio Giovanni. I met him in person and he showed me his work. He used to do big stuff back then, but when the technology switched to people doing Photoshop and doing stuff digitally, it was hard for him to find jobs, because then you can hire someone who will do in the computer for less rather than an artist doing it by hand. So for me, it's very important to give him a chance to continue to do this, to continue to be relevant. and don't allow the time changes to take a job from someone who is so talented. And this book is just beautiful. You know, it's about two pugs, but in reality it's a lesbian couple. So even though we don't talk about the LGBTQ part of it, we want to make sure that when kids get this book, they see two moms together, and that's completely normal. That's how we can, little by little, change the world.
Absolutely.
And he's so excited. Like, I'm so excited to produce this book. And I'm going to be working in another title for next year, starting this year, which is going to be more for teenagers, kind of like Madagascar kind of type. And then I'm working with another creator from New York with his title to launch next year. So I'm like, I'm a full speed, you know, so I'm doing a lot. Oh, and I'm helping, me and my partner, we're helping the organizer of the first Pride for Redmond, where we live. It will be the first Pride in the east of Seattle. And that's going to happen in September. We've been working with them. I'm just so excited. I feel like we're doing so much, working with the producers, and I feel like everything's going to work. And the most important thing is like, that as things work for us, I'm going to bring more people to make sure that things work for them too. And that's the most important for me.
You are full speed ahead. I love it. I love it. So how can we follow you, connect with you? Give us, please, your social media.
Yeah, you can follow us Craven Comics or Craven Magazine. Soon I will create one Craven because I'm creating too many Cravens. So soon I will create like Craven.us because I'm also launching all the products in Europe by the end of the year. We're moving everything to Spain as well to expand into my Latin market. But they can follow us on cravencomics.com, cravenmagazine.com for right now. Or my personal Craven25, which sometimes I post stuff.
Well, Mr. Fernando Velez, thank you for stopping by. Wyatt, let me tell you that it was a pure delight. It was inspirational. And you gave people who are sitting on their ass a reason to get up and do something.
Yes. Yes, totally.
Listen, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. I'm so excited. I always enjoy talking to you.
Likewise, my pleasure. Hey! So there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page on WyattEvans.com, the go-to destination for LGBTQ plus news, features, commentary, and entertainment. WyattEvans.com, y'all, is visited by more than 100 countries on the regular. And all I can say to that is, goddamn. Anyway, WyattEvans.com is where you'll find my smoking hot, HAWT hot, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And the latest installment, y'all, the latest installment is Frenzy! Yeah, I said Frenzy. Frenzy is chock full of masculine romance, heated passion, nastiness, danger, intrigue, and all the elements of a fantastically great read. Erotica at its best. And now, let me tell you something! The sequel entitled Delirium, I said Delirium, drops later on. I'll keep you posted. Now, hey, if you want to be a guest on Wyatt, or you got comments, you know what I'm saying, all you got to do is email me at wyattonair@gmail.com. And you can follow me, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Y'all see all the information right there on your screen. So, until next time, y'all, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof. I said woof.